It all began on a day like any other, with the sky so clear, the sun shining down, and humans going about their usual business. The tranquility of Earth was abruptly shattered as something unimaginable happened. High above the clouds, a dark shape appeared in the sky. At first, it was a speck, a blur, but within moments, it grew larger and larger. The shape transformed into an enormous, menacing shadow, blocking out the sun. It was a fleet of ships, alien ships, and they were headed straight for Earth. The invaders weren't just any aliens. They were the most powerful species in the galaxy, known as the Zalcor. Their empire stretched across countless star systems, and their technology was far beyond anything humanity had ever dreamed of. These were the kinds of beings who didn't conquer planets just for resources, they did it for domination, to enslave entire civilizations. Their fleet was unlike anything humans had ever encountered. Cloaking devices made them invisible until the very last moment, AI-controlled warships capable of adapting to any countermeasure, and soldiers enhanced by genetic modifications that made them stronger, faster, and nearly invincible. As the ships entered Earth's atmosphere, they made their intentions clear. It wasn't just a territorial battle, it was an invasion. The aliens didn't just want to conquer, they wanted humans to be their slaves, their subjugated workers, to bend the knee and serve the Zalcor Empire. The attack was swift, and the sheer scale of it left humanity in shock. Cities across the globe were under siege. The first wave hit hard and fast, using their cloaked ships to target vital infrastructure. Humans, completely unprepared for such an advanced assault, had no idea how to fight back. The alien ships unleashed devastating energy weapons, tearing through skyscrapers and military defenses as if they were made of paper. It was an overwhelming force. Humanity had no way of matching their power. And yet, amidst this chaos, there was one man who wasn't panicking. General Thomas Bonner, commander of the Earth Defense Coalition, stood tall in his command center. While the rest of the world's leaders scrambled to coordinate a defense that would be crushed within hours, Bonner remained calm. He wasn't just another military officer. Bonner had a reputation for being a tactical genius, the kind of leader who could turn the tide of battle even when everything seemed lost. Bonner knew something the others didn't: humans had something special, something the Zalcor never expected. It was something deep within the human spirit that made them relentless, adaptable, and unwilling to give up. It was the very thing that had helped humanity survive countless challenges throughout history. They were resourceful, creative, and determined. It wasn't their weapons that would win this fight, it was their will to survive. But Bonner also knew that to defeat an enemy this powerful, he would need more than just hope. He needed strategy. And he had one. As Bonner studied the data from Earth's satellite network, the true extent of the alien invasion became clear. The Zalcor had launched a full-scale offensive, targeting key military bases, communication hubs, and power plants. The skies were filled with their ships, massive war vessels that loomed over cities like dark clouds. But what was even more troubling was the nature of their attack. The aliens weren't just blowing things up, they were sending ground forces to take control. These troops were genetically enhanced soldiers, equipped with advanced armor and weaponry. They were like walking tanks, with the strength and agility of the deadliest predators in the galaxy. But Bonner wasn't intimidated. He had a plan. It was a gamble, a long shot, but if it worked, it could turn the tide. The humans didn't have the advanced technology the aliens possessed, but they had something the Zalcor didn't understand: ingenuity. Bonner believed that if he could make the aliens underestimate humanity, he could exploit their weaknesses. The first step of his plan involved deception. Bonner ordered his fleet to move in a way that would mislead the alien forces into thinking Earth's military was uncoordinated and weak. He knew the Zalcor had an overconfidence that came with their advanced technology. They believed they were invincible, and Bonner planned to use that arrogance to his advantage. At the same time, Bonner had his scientists working on a way to disrupt the aliens' cloaking devices. Humans had developed some rudimentary countermeasures, but they were nothing compared to the alien technology. Yet, Bonner knew that if he could find a small weakness, just one flaw in their system, he could exploit it and give humanity a fighting chance. But the clock was ticking. The Zalcor were relentless. As the invasion progressed, the situation grew more desperate. Cities fell. Millions of people were displaced. Bonner's own family had been caught in the crossfire. His wife and children were safe for now, but he couldn't afford to worry about them. His focus was on the survival of the human race. In the midst of all this destruction, Bonner's resolve only hardened. He knew that every battle he fought now was a step closer to the final confrontation. He didn't have time to second-guess his decisions. His troops were following him into the fight, and if he failed, humanity would fall. Then, in a brief moment of clarity, Bonner realized something. The aliens hadn't just underestimated humanity, they hadn't even considered the possibility that humans could fight back like this. The Zalcor had conquered countless civilizations, but none of them had faced an enemy like humanity. The humans weren't going to roll over. They would fight for their planet, for their future, no matter the odds. And so, General Bonner prepared to take the fight to the aliens in a way they never expected. The first strike would be the hardest. Dealing a blow to the heart of the Zalcor invasion fleet, using their own overconfidence against them. Bonner's plan was simple, but the stakes were high. If he could make the aliens believe that humanity was more resourceful and dangerous than they had ever imagined, then they would have no choice but to retreat. But to pull this off, he would need to act fast. The invasion was only getting worse, and the alien forces were growing bolder. The clock was ticking, and Bonner knew that if he didn't make his move soon, Earth would be lost forever. As the general gathered his troops and prepared them for the battle ahead, there was a sense of anticipation in the air. It wasn't just the weight of the situation that hung over them, it was the feeling that this was humanity's last chance. General Bonner wasn't just fighting for victory, he was fighting for the very survival of the human race. The suspense was palpable. Would the human forces be able to pull off Bonner's daring plan? Would they stand a chance against an alien empire that had already crushed so many others? The fate of Earth, and the future of humanity, now rested in the hands of General Bonner and his soldiers. The first strike from the Zalcor was devastating. As the alien warships released their orbital bombardment, Earth's major cities became nothing more than craters in an instant. New York, London, Tokyo, and many other iconic locations were wiped off the map. The sky turned dark with the smoke of destruction, and humanity was in a state of shock. For the first time, it felt as though the human race might be facing extinction. The power of the Zalcor was overwhelming, and people everywhere could do nothing but watch as their cities burned. But General Bonner had prepared for this moment. While the world watched in terror, Bonner remained focused. He had seen the destruction of the cities as just the beginning, not the end. He knew that once the Zalcor's ground forces touched down, they would underestimate humanity's ability to fight back. They believed they had wiped out the Earth's defenses with their orbital bombardment, but they were wrong. Humans were not just going to surrender. As the alien troops began to land, descending from the skies in heavily armored dropships, they expected the humans to be scattered, disorganized, and helpless. What they didn't expect was the kind of resistance that awaited them. General Bonner's team had been preparing for this moment, and they were ready to strike back with everything they had. Bonner's strategy was simple yet effective: guerrilla warfare. With the help of advanced cloaking devices and AI-enhanced drones, his soldiers moved silently through the wreckage of the cities. They attacked from unexpected positions, striking from the shadows, hitting the aliens where they least expected it. Each ambush was perfectly timed, using the environment to their advantage. Buildings that were still partially standing became traps, hiding places where humans could fire from cover, retreating before the aliens could even locate them. The Zalcor found themselves constantly on edge, unable to predict the humans' movements. This made the battle far more difficult for them than they had ever imagined. The first few hours of combat were intense, but it wasn't just the strategic advantage that Bonner had, it was also the spirit of his troops. The humans fought with a passion that the Zalcor couldn't comprehend. They had a fire within them, a desperate need to protect their home and their families. The aliens had never faced a species with so much heart, and it showed in the way the humans fought. The fight on the ground was unlike anything the Zalcor had seen before. Their genetically enhanced soldiers, who had been bred for combat, expected to crush any resistance quickly. But the humans were unpredictable. They used everything at their disposal: cars, debris, weapons scavenged from the wreckage, and even their own bodies. They fought with a fury that made every alien soldier question their mission. The Zalcor had expected to enslave a helpless species; instead, they were fighting for their lives against a tenacious foe. In one of the fiercest battles, General Bonner's forces ambushed a group of alien troops in the ruins of what used to be a city square. The humans used cloaking devices to sneak up on the aliens, planting explosives in key locations. The blast was devastating, taking out the aliens' heavy machinery and leaving them vulnerable. As the dust cleared, a few surviving Zalcor soldiers charged forward, only to be cut down by the humans' rifles and drones. Amid the chaos, a soldier named Sam stood out. Sam had never been anything special. He was just one of the many soldiers who had enlisted to fight for Earth, but something in him had changed in the heat of battle. He wasn't just following orders anymore, he was fighting with every ounce of his being. As the battle raged on, Sam found himself at the front lines, leading a squad of soldiers to take out an alien command post. They were surrounded, and their chances of survival seemed slim, but Sam refused to back down. He pushed forward, firing at the advancing aliens, his team right behind him. Just as they were about to reach the command post, a group of Zalcor soldiers ambushed them from all sides. Sam, determined to ensure the success of the mission, ordered his team to retreat while he held the line. The aliens, with their superior strength and speed, were closing in, but Sam didn't hesitate. He fought with everything he had, holding off the alien forces long enough for his team to escape. But in the end, Sam's bravery cost him his life. An alien soldier caught him off guard, and before Sam could react, a blade pierced through his chest. His teammates didn't see it happen, but the battle was over for Sam. His sacrifice, though, was not in vain. The alien command post was destroyed, and the humans had struck another blow against the invaders. As the hours passed, the Zalcor began to realize something: this wasn't going as they had planned. Their initial bombardment had been devastating, but the humans weren't backing down. In fact, they were fighting with a ferocity the aliens hadn't anticipated. It was as if the more they tried to break the human spirit, the stronger it became. Every time an alien soldier was taken down, another human stepped up to take their place. The Zalcor's advanced technology, which they had believed would guarantee their victory, was being undermined by human resilience and cunning. The tides were beginning to turn, but the Zalcor were far from ready to retreat. They had a pride that would not allow them to admit defeat, not even in the face of adversity. Instead, they grew more ruthless, deploying even stronger forces and attempting to adapt to the guerrilla tactics the humans were using. But despite this, the aliens were beginning to feel the weight of their overconfidence. They had underestimated humanity's ability to adapt and fight back. For the first time since the invasion began, they felt the taste of failure. General Bonner watched from his command center, his mind racing as he evaluated the battle. He knew they couldn't afford to slow down. Sam's sacrifice had inspired his team, and Bonner could feel the momentum shifting in their favor. But he also knew that this was just the beginning. The Zalcor were relentless, and they would not be easy to defeat. The suspense of the battle continued to build. Would the humans continue to push back the alien forces, or would the Zalcor learn from their mistakes and crush the resistance? For the first time, it was unclear whether the alien invaders would succeed or fail. The fate of Earth rested on the shoulders of General Bonner and his soldiers, who were determined to prove that fighting humans wasn't just a challenge, it was a death sentence for any who dared to invade. As the battle raged on, it was clear that the Zalcor were not prepared for the war they had started. The humans were fighting back with everything they had, and the aliens were beginning to understand that this was not a fight they could win easily. The stage was set for the next phase of the battle, and the tension in the air was palpable. Would the humans emerge victorious, or would the Zalcor prove to be too powerful? Only time would tell. The battle for Earth had been raging for days, and humanity was fighting with every ounce of strength they had. General Bonner, always calm and focused, had seen the destruction, the loss, and the pain. He had witnessed the chaos and the horrors that the alien invaders, the Zalcor, had brought with them. Yet, in the depths of war, Bonner had a glimmer of hope, a secret weapon that could change everything. A weapon so powerful that it could turn the tide of the entire war. This weapon was unlike anything the Zalcor had encountered. It wasn't a bomb or a laser, but something far more extraordinary: quantum probability manipulation. It could alter the very fabric of reality, changing the likelihood of events, bending the future in favor of the humans. Every time the Zalcor struck, the weapon could shift the odds just enough to give the humans an advantage. It wasn't invincible, but it was powerful enough to make the impossible possible. The weapon had been discovered by accident. During a covert mission to infiltrate an alien supply depot, Bonner's team stumbled upon a hidden lab where the weapon was being researched. The technology was alien in origin, but its potential was undeniable. The Zalcor had no idea that such a weapon existed. It had been kept secret, perhaps as a last resort or as a key to ultimate domination. But now, it was in the hands of humanity. Bonner's team quickly began to study the weapon. They were cautious, as it was not something they could easily control, but the first tests proved its potential. The weapon worked by manipulating the probabilities of outcomes. For example, if a soldier was about to be hit by an alien laser, the weapon could shift the odds, making the shot miss. If an alien attack seemed inevitable, the weapon could alter the probability, giving the humans a chance to survive and counterattack. As the weapon was tested, Bonner could see the shift in the air. Every battle from this point forward would be different. The odds were now on humanity's side. For the first time, humans had a weapon that even the alien AI systems could not predict. The Zalcor had relied heavily on their advanced AI for tactical advantage, but this weapon was something even their most sophisticated algorithms couldn't understand. It was unpredictable, uncontrollable, and human. The first time the weapon was used in battle, the results were staggering. The Zalcor, who had been relentlessly advancing, found themselves caught off guard. Their attacks missed, their soldiers hesitated, and their machines malfunctioned. The humans, emboldened by the weapon, launched a counterattack with a ferocity the aliens had never seen before. The weapon had altered the probabilities just enough to make the human strike successful. The aliens were not prepared for this kind of fight. General Bonner stood at the front lines, watching as his troops fought with renewed strength. He could see the shift in their morale. They were no longer afraid. They were no longer just surviving, they were fighting to win. The alien forces, who had once believed victory was certain, were now facing defeat. Their advanced weaponry and AI systems couldn't predict the outcome of every fight. The quantum probability manipulation was throwing their strategies into disarray. But as the battle raged on, there was one moment that would change everything, a moment that would define the true cost of this war. As the humans pushed forward, one of Bonner's most trusted soldiers, Alex, fell in battle. The emotional bond between Bonner and his team had always been strong, but it was in this moment that it truly became clear. Alex had been with Bonner from the beginning, a soldier who had fought with courage and determination. He had survived countless battles, and he had come to symbolize the spirit of the human resistance. Bonner, who had always been the calm and collected leader, couldn't hold back his emotions. He watched as Alex's lifeless body was carried away, the weight of the loss hitting him hard. His heart ached. This was no longer just a fight for survival, this was personal. The deaths of his soldiers, his friends, were no longer just numbers in a battle. Each one was a loss, a sacrifice made for the future of humanity. In that moment, Bonner realized the full scope of what they were fighting for. It wasn't just about winning the war, it was about the people they had lost along the way. Each soldier who fell was another reminder of why they had to keep fighting. Bonner's emotional reaction was raw, and it resonated with his troops. They could see the pain in his eyes, and it made them fight harder. The humans were no longer just defending their planet, they were avenging their fallen comrades. The alien leaders, watching from their command centers, were stunned. They had underestimated humanity. The weapon, which they had never known existed, was turning the tide of the war. And now, they were witnessing something even more powerful, the human spirit. They had thought the humans would crumble under the pressure. But instead, they had become more determined, more unified in the face of loss. This was a quality that the Zalcor, for all their advanced technology, could not comprehend. The realization hit the Zalcor hard. They had believed that they could conquer humanity easily. Their technology, their weapons, their AI systems, all of it had made them feel invincible. But now, they were beginning to understand the true strength of their enemy. The Zalcor had thought they were fighting against a species of weaklings, a species that would fall before them. But instead, they were facing a species that could adapt, that could fight back, and that would never give up. The weapon had done more than just shift the odds in humanity's favor. It had given the humans the chance to prove their strength. But it had also opened a new chapter in the war. The Zalcor, realizing they were losing, began to make desperate moves. They tried to counter the weapon, but every time they attempted to predict what would happen next, they found themselves wrong. The quantum probability manipulation had broken the aliens' perfect plans. Every time they tried to regroup, they were met with resistance that they couldn't anticipate. The suspense of the war was building. Could the humans use this new weapon to drive the invaders back for good? Or would the Zalcor find a way to overcome the unexpected challenge that humans had thrown at them? General Bonner knew that they had gained a critical advantage, but he also knew that the aliens would not surrender easily. They were not going to give up without a fight, and the next phase of the war would be even more intense. As Bonner looked out over the battlefield, he understood one thing for certain: this war was far from over. The humans had taken the first step toward victory, but the real test was yet to come. The Zalcor would learn from their mistakes, and they would fight with everything they had. But now, humanity had the weapon they needed to stand a chance. It was a game changer, but would it be enough to ensure their survival? The emotional cost of this war was clear, and Bonner knew that the sacrifices would continue. But he also knew that with every fight, humanity was one step closer to victory. The Zalcor had underestimated them once, but they wouldn't make the same mistake again. The next chapter of this war would decide the fate of Earth, and General Bonner was ready to lead his troops into whatever came next. As the war against the alien invaders, the Zalcor, raged on, it became painfully clear to both sides that the conventional tactics they had relied on were no longer working. The humans, initially seen as weak and defenseless, had turned the tables in ways that no one had expected. Their resilience and the mysterious quantum probability manipulation weapon had begun to dismantle the alien strategies, and the Zalcor were growing desperate. The aliens, with their vast fleets and advanced technology, had once believed themselves to be invincible. They had AI systems controlling their warships, guiding their fleets, and predicting enemy movements with near-perfect accuracy. But the humans had introduced a level of unpredictability that no algorithm could foresee. Every time the Zalcor thought they had the upper hand, something unexpected happened, something they couldn't anticipate. The AI systems were no longer the perfect tools they had once been. They were getting frustrated, confused, and ultimately, ineffective. General Bonner knew that the humans had one chance left, a chance to strike decisively and end the war before the Zalcor could regroup and come up with new strategies. His team had discovered something that could potentially win the war, but it required a risk greater than anything they had faced before. The weapon they had relied on was powerful, but it was not enough to guarantee victory on its own. It was time for humanity to take the fight to the aliens directly, in a way that would leave them with no room to escape or recover. Bonner and his team gathered for one last mission, the final push to destroy the alien fleet and ensure Earth's survival. It was going to be the most dangerous mission of their lives, but it was the only option left. Earth had to be defended, no matter the cost. The tension was palpable as Bonner and his soldiers prepared for battle. The strategy was simple yet audacious. They would target the Zalcor's massive motherships, the heart of their invasion force, and destroy them. The plan was to unleash everything the humans had, every last bit of firepower, every resource they could scrape together, into one final, decisive attack. The battle would be fought in space, above the Earth's atmosphere, in a fierce orbital assault that would determine the fate of the planet. The first phase of the attack began with an all-out orbital bombardment. The humans had been secretly building a fleet of ships equipped with advanced weaponry, and now they would use everything they had to take down the alien motherships. Laser beams, missiles, and plasma cannons filled the sky, targeting the alien ships. Each blast was a direct hit, tearing apart the alien fleet piece by piece. The Zalcor retaliated with equal fury, launching waves of drones and fighter ships to intercept the human assault. It was a battle of sheer force and willpower, as both sides threw everything they had into the fight. Explosions rocked the sky as human ships and alien drones collided in a spectacular display of firepower. The battle was intense, fast-paced, and chaotic. The humans' forces, though outnumbered, fought with a desperation born of survival. They knew that this was their last chance to defeat the Zalcor and protect their planet. But the alien motherships were enormous, heavily armored, and capable of withstanding most attacks. The battle had to be won quickly, or else humanity's forces would be overwhelmed. General Bonner was at the heart of the action, leading the charge with his fleet of warships. His strategy was clear: focus all firepower on the motherships and destroy them at all costs. As the battle raged on, the humans began to make headway. Alien ships exploded in fiery plumes, their advanced technology failing under the relentless onslaught of human firepower. But just as it seemed the tide was turning, the aliens launched their own devastating counterattack. A massive energy beam from one of the motherships pierced through the human defenses, destroying several ships in a single strike. The humans were now facing their biggest challenge yet, a final, all-or-nothing assault. But General Bonner knew that they could not win this battle from a distance. The key to victory lay within the heart of the alien motherships themselves. It wasn't enough to just destroy the fleet, they had to eliminate the source of the Zalcor's strength. Bonner made a decision that would change everything. He knew that the odds were slim, but he was willing to risk everything for the survival of his people. In a move that shocked his team, Bonner volunteered to lead a dangerous mission to infiltrate the heart of the alien mothership. He would personally board the ship, destroy its core, and bring an end to the war. The humans were stunned. They had never seen Bonner so willing to put his life on the line, but they knew he was the best chance they had. The general's bravery was legendary, but this mission was one that few could even imagine surviving. Bonner boarded a small fighter ship and set course for the alien mothership, cutting through the chaos of battle. His ship was heavily damaged in the process, and the journey was perilous. He was racing against time, knowing that the Zalcor's forces were closing in on his position. As he neared the mothership, the odds seemed impossible. The alien ship was surrounded by a thick barrier of defenses, and the interior was a labyrinth of alien technology. Inside the mothership, Bonner faced the final challenge: an army of genetically enhanced soldiers, each one stronger, faster, and more lethal than any human soldier. He fought his way through the alien troops with precision and skill, using his training and expertise to overcome every obstacle. The battle was brutal, with Bonner narrowly avoiding death at every turn. But his resolve never wavered. He knew what was at stake. Finally, Bonner reached the core of the mothership, a massive reactor that powered the entire fleet. He planted explosives around the core and set the timer. The countdown began. Bonner knew that he would not survive this mission. He had accepted his fate the moment he boarded his ship. But as the seconds ticked away, he felt a sense of peace. He had done everything he could to protect Earth and its people. As Bonner's ship exploded, taking the mothership with it, a wave of shockwaves rippled through the battlefield. The alien forces were thrown into disarray, their central command shattered. The human fleet launched one final assault, pushing through the weakened alien defenses and obliterating the remaining ships. The Zalcor had been defeated. The battle was won. But the victory came at a great cost. General Bonner's sacrifice was not in vain, and his name would be remembered as a symbol of courage and bravery. The humans had fought for their planet and had triumphed against all odds. The war was over, but the scars of battle would remain. Earth had been saved, but the memory of those who gave their lives in the fight would never be forgotten. The turning point had come, and humanity had emerged victorious, proving once and for all that when it came to fighting for their survival, there was no force in the universe powerful enough to defeat them. The final battle for Earth was upon them. The once feared alien fleet, which had considered itself invincible just days before, was now fighting for its survival. The tables had turned, and the invaders were no longer the ones calling the shots. The human forces had fought with determination, against all odds, and had upgraded their technology and weapons to match the might of the alien invaders. Now, they were about to unleash everything they had in a final attempt to destroy the Zalcor once and for all. The alien fleet had suffered tremendous losses, but they were far from ready to surrender. Their commander, a cold, calculating being known as Korath, had seen firsthand the unexpected resilience of the humans. Despite the alien superior technology and vast fleets, they had failed to crush Earth's defenses. Korath knew that Earth's defenders were running out of resources, and this final push would decide everything. He was determined to finish what his forces had started, but he underestimated one crucial factor: the humans' resolve. On the other side, General Bonner and his team had been preparing for this moment since the beginning of the war. They knew that this battle would be the hardest yet, but they also understood the stakes. They were fighting for the survival of their planet, for their families, their homes, and for every human being left on Earth. They could not afford to lose. The human forces had become a force to be reckoned with. Over the course of the war, they had learned and adapted, using every scrap of technology and every advantage they could find. Their cloaking devices had been improved, allowing human ships to move undetected among the alien fleet. The quantum probability manipulation weapon, which had been key in turning the tide of the war, had been further refined, and now it was more powerful than ever before. The humans were no longer the underdogs. They had become a deadly threat. As the final battle began, the two sides clashed in space above Earth, in a show of speed, stealth, and raw power. The aliens' massive motherships, once thought to be nearly indestructible, were now facing a full-scale assault from the human fleet. The humans' new cloaking devices allowed their ships to strike from unexpected angles, and their quantum weaponry tore through the alien fleet's defenses with ease. It was a battle unlike any the galaxy had ever seen, a battle of pure strategy and technology. The skies above Earth were filled with flashes of light, as orbital lasers sliced through the air, tearing apart alien ships and causing massive explosions in space. The human fleet moved like shadows, striking quickly and retreating before the aliens could react. In close-quarters combat, human soldiers boarded alien ships, engaging in brutal hand-to-hand combat with the invaders. Every soldier knew this could be their last fight, but they fought with everything they had. The alien forces, once so confident in their superiority, were now struggling to hold their ground. Their advanced technology, which had been a symbol of their strength, was now failing them. The aliens' AI systems, which had been so efficient at predicting human movements, were now being outmaneuvered at every turn. The humans' unpredictability had become their greatest weapon. With every move, the Zalcor grew more desperate, more disorganized, as their ships were picked off one by one. But despite the human successes, the war was far from over. The alien motherships, though damaged, still had the power to wipe out entire fleets in a single strike. Korath, the alien commander, knew that this was his last chance to defeat the humans. He was willing to sacrifice everything to ensure Earth's destruction. He ordered his fleet to concentrate all their firepower on the human forces, launching massive energy blasts that tore through space, destroying anything in their path. In the chaos of the battle, General Bonner and his team pushed forward, knowing that this was the moment of truth. The final push would determine everything. They had one goal: to destroy the alien motherships and end the war. Bonner's plan was simple: to take the fight directly to the heart of the Zalcor fleet, targeting the command ship where Korath himself was stationed. It was a risky move, but Bonner knew that it was the only way to end the war once and for all. As Bonner's ship cut through the alien fleet, he faced one of the most dangerous challenges of his life. The alien mothership loomed ahead, surrounded by a swarm of alien fighters. The humans' cloaking devices gave them the element of surprise, but the sheer size and firepower of the mothership made it a daunting target. Bonner's heart raced as he led his team toward the massive ship. His plan was to infiltrate the mothership, destroy its core, and eliminate Korath. Inside the mothership, the alien forces were ready. Korath, anticipating the humans' attack, had set up defenses to protect himself. But even with all their advanced technology, the Zalcor were unprepared for the humans' determination. Bonner and his team fought their way through the alien ship, facing waves of elite soldiers and robotic defenders. It was a brutal battle, but Bonner and his team pushed forward with one thing in mind: victory. As they reached the core of the mothership, Bonner planted the explosives, preparing for the final detonation. But just as he was about to leave, Korath confronted him. The two leaders faced each other in the heart of the alien vessel, their armies clashing outside. It was a moment of pure intensity, a final showdown between humanity and the Zalcor. Korath, with his superior strength and technology, believed that he would easily overpower Bonner. But Bonner was fueled by something far greater than technology. He was fueled by the love for his planet, for his people, and for the soldiers who had sacrificed so much to get to this point. The two fought fiercely, each using their skills and weapons to try and gain the upper hand. It was a battle of wills, a fight for survival. In the end, it was Bonner who prevailed. With one final blow, he struck down Korath, ending the Zalcor's leadership and throwing their forces into disarray. The core of the mothership detonated, sending a shockwave through the fleet, destroying everything in its path. The remaining alien ships were obliterated, and the war was finally over. As Bonner stood amidst the wreckage of the alien fleet, he felt a mixture of triumph and sorrow. The humans had won, but at a great cost. Many of his soldiers had fallen in battle, including his closest friends. The emotional toll of the war weighed heavily on him, but he knew that their sacrifice had been worth it. Earth had been saved, and humanity had proven that no force in the universe could break their spirit. In the end, the victory was bittersweet. The humans had fought with everything they had, and they had triumphed. But as Bonner looked out at the stars, he knew that the fight for humanity's future was far from over. The Zalcor were gone, but there would always be new threats, new challenges, and new battles to fight. But humanity had learned one thing above all else: when they fight for their survival, they are unstoppable. The final push had been their victory, and it would be remembered as the moment when humanity proved that no matter how powerful the enemy, they would never give up, never back down, and never be defeated. As the dust settled and the smoke cleared from the final battle, the human forces stood victorious. The once formidable alien fleet, which had threatened to wipe humanity off the face of the earth, was now nothing more than a smoldering ruin scattered across the vast expanse of space. The Zalcor, the alien invaders who had once believed themselves to be unstoppable, had been completely annihilated. Not a single ship was left. The battle was over. Humanity had won. In the aftermath of the devastating battle, there was a sense of silence, a stillness that hung over Earth. The weight of the victory settled on the shoulders of every human alive. For the first time in years, the planet was safe. The threat that had loomed over them for so long had been eradicated, but the cost of this victory had been high. Countless lives had been lost. General Bonner, along with his soldiers, had fought with unparalleled bravery, but at the expense of their comrades. Each victory had come with a heavy toll, and now, as the war had ended, Bonner knew that it was time to reflect on the true meaning of their struggle. As Earth's leaders began to regroup and rebuild, a powerful message was broadcast across the galaxy, a message that would resonate with all those who had witnessed humanity's resilience and tenacity. The voice of General Bonner echoed through the galaxy, his words simple but filled with a powerful truth: "We fight not because we have to, but because we must. Underestimate us, and you will be the one to fall." His words were a declaration. A statement that humanity was not to be taken lightly. That no matter how advanced an enemy might be, no matter how technologically superior they may appear, humanity would never back down. The defeat of the Zalcor was not just a victory for Earth, it was a message to every alien empire in the galaxy. The message was clear: anyone who dared to challenge humanity would face nothing less than their own destruction. As the broadcast continued, it reached every corner of the galaxy, traveling through the vast expanse of space to distant alien worlds. Empires that had been observing the conflict, some from the shadows and others with arrogant certainty of their own strength, were now forced to take notice. They had seen what humans could do with limited resources, how they had turned the tide of battle using ingenuity, bravery, and an unwavering spirit. The defeat of the Zalcor was not just the end of one war, it was the beginning of a new era where humanity would no longer be seen as weak or expendable. The galaxy had learned a painful lesson: humanity was not to be underestimated. For those who had fought alongside General Bonner, the victory was bittersweet. The emotional weight of the battle still lingered. The loss of so many brave soldiers, the sacrifices made, and the countless moments of uncertainty had all taken their toll. Bonner himself, now a hero and a symbol of humanity's indomitable will, stood tall, but the burden of leadership had not been easy to carry. His heart ached for the comrades he had lost, for the soldiers whose names would never be remembered in the history books, but who had given everything for their home. The war was over, but the scars it had left would remain for a long time. As the broadcast continued, there was a shift in the way the galaxy viewed humanity. No longer were they the primitive, fragile species struggling to survive. No longer were they the underdog, fighting to hold their own against forces far beyond their comprehension. Humanity had proven itself to be a force in its own right, one that could not be ignored. The once mighty alien empires now faced a new reality. They had all received a message, but only those who were wise enough would truly understand it: challenging humanity was a death sentence. The aliens, who had been so sure of their superiority, now found themselves questioning everything. The message from General Bonner was a warning. The leaders of alien empires, once secure in their belief that humanity would eventually fall, now realized that they had made a grave mistake. Earth had fought back, not with overwhelming numbers or unfathomable technology, but with courage, unity, and a will to survive that no alien force had anticipated. The galaxy had watched, and now, it would never forget. As the weeks and months passed, Earth began its slow recovery. Rebuilding efforts were underway, and new technologies were being developed, many of them inspired by the very weapons humanity had used to defeat the Zalcor. The quantum probability manipulation weapon, which had proven to be so effective, was being refined and adapted for other uses, promising even greater advancements in human technology. The Earth was once again safe, but the galaxy knew that the humans had not just survived, they had thrived. The broadcast, which had started as a simple message of victory, quickly became a symbol of humanity's resolve. Other races, once indifferent or hostile to humanity, began to change their attitudes. The idea that humanity was weak, that they were mere pawns in the grand game of the galaxy, was no longer a belief that anyone could hold. Earth had proven that even in the face of overwhelming odds, they could rise above and claim victory. It was a testament to the strength of the human spirit. The Zalcor had paid the ultimate price for underestimating humanity, and their empire had crumbled to dust. But the other alien factions in the galaxy knew that they could not afford to make the same mistake. They would have to approach humanity with respect, not fear, but a newfound respect for the strength and resilience of the human race. For Bonner, the victory was not just about defeating an enemy. It was about securing the future for the generations to come. His speech, broadcast across the galaxy, would be remembered as the turning point in humanity's story. It marked the moment when Earth, once thought of as a vulnerable, insignificant planet, had proven that it was a force to be reckoned with. And so, the galaxy entered a new era, one in which humanity stood as an equal, no longer a race to be pitted or conquered. The victory over the Zalcor was just the beginning. Now, humanity knew that no matter what challenges lay ahead, they had the strength to face them. The message was clear: anyone who dared to fight against humanity would only meet their end. As the final echoes of Bonner's words faded into the void of space, humanity stood tall. The fight was over, and Earth had won. The galaxy had learned the hard way that when humanity fights, it does so not out of necessity, but out of an unshakable belief that they will never fall. The death sentence had been delivered. And the galaxy would never forget it.